So here are my Yokote Morado beans. I experimented just growing them by themselves up a little old tomato cage that I didn't have any use for this year. So I let them just climb up that. There's some Brandywine tomatoes I grew from seed. Something was nibbling on that one. I couldn't figure out what, but it's kind of messing it up. Here's some blueberries I grew from Tractor Supply a couple years ago. They should produce next year, hopefully. A few pots where I planted some okra and nasturtiums from seed. Another blueberry plant. You can see I transplanted some runners from my all-star strawberries. I'm trying to use them as ground cover or living mulch. Some Yukon potatoes I grew. My potatoes weren't that great this year. I blame my seeds. I think they were too weak. Some tobacco. Here is some dill that I grew. Grown plenty of dill. Hopefully I get more seeds. Here is some of my native wildflowers. You can see butterfly milkweed. That's purple coneflower. And the purple coneflower has begun to spread, which I like to see, free flowers. Here's some carrots I'm letting go to seed. I like to plant more. I want to have a whole bunch of carrots, but usually seed is the limiting factor. I don't want to use all my seed, so I'll have plenty of seed this year. Here's my little salad bar with some cilantro. Got some butter crunch, head romaine, and some of that red one. Some celery from some free seeds I got. More carrots that I can harvest this year. And here's a beet that I let grow just for seed. Some of my Egyptian taking a walk. And then there's a random onion. I don't know where this onion came from, but it produced a bulb. I'll probably pull it here in a little bit and just eat it. I don't really need those seeds. And there's some San Marzano tomatoes with some basil and marigold as a companion plant. More San Marzanos. Really showing off my basil and marigolds here. And another San Marzano behind a carrot plant. Here you can see a green onion laying on my garlic. This garlic is one I recorded in a video, and I don't know why. Some of it did good, some of them did it. I don't know why they struggled in some areas, but I think that they might not have as much soil as I think they do, so I'll have to amend that. Here's some kale and collard greens I'm letting go to seed, and I'm going to try to save that. I did have chickens, as you may have seen in previous videos, but I had to get rid of them, so I can't use anything for them. You can see the sunflowers, and here's some Japanese holeless popcorn and Bloody Butcher corn that I planted earlier. That's, I believe, Lakota squash, and some goosefoot and sugar beet for my cover crop, along with some more different garlic varieties growing along the perimeter. I like to let the beets grow because I feel like they're good. Living roots are good for the soil, and I'd like to roast some beets. I'm gonna harvest them. And here's some of those. These are Scarlet Runner beans growing next to my Bloody Butcher corn. The Bloody Butcher corn is growing very strong, so it's growing stronger than the popcorn, which is nice to see. The two were not really staggered, maybe a couple days. Here are some Hopi purple sunflowers again. I'm gonna try to bag some of these and protect the genetics. I did end up planting some of the amaranth, as you can tell, so I'm gonna try to nurture that amaranth and let it grow, collect some seeds so I don't have to worry about that. I used all my seeds. And here's my banana, and then some Jerusalem artichokes. I'm growing some asparagus crowns in a pot. Try to transplant out in a couple of years, and I was going to plant some sweet potatoes. Here's where I planted the hopness. It's been growing really slow for some reason. I bought it off of Etsy. I did dig it up a couple weeks ago, and it had roots growing, so I think I'm just going to be patient. Here I tried to plant some potatoes, and for some reason all my potatoes rotted. I wasn't really watering them that heavy. I don't know what was wrong with it. A few of them sprouted, but I kind of gave up and I just planted tomatoes there. I'm sure there'll be some small potatoes that come back up. Their peas in the back are doing pretty good. I'm just saving them for seed. Here I wanted to show the two differences between a wild Jerusalem artichoke and a cultivated variety that I bought off Etsy. The one I grabbed first was the wild type. In this bed, I'm growing some beans, a bush bean from Native Seed Search. I believe it's Rara Murray Canario. And I have some cilantro and dill and walking onions as well. Here I have some monster yellow bell peppers that I grew from seed from Baker Creek seed. And here's my asparagus bed, which is surrounded by more Rara Murray Canario beans. Can see some more Jerusalem artichoke and a volunteer peach, some volunteer potatoes from the compost pile, and a pawpaw tree that got chewed in half. You could see for a brief second some black-eyed Susan. I have a few different types of milkweed growing here, so I had more butterfly and I think a prairie milkweed and a common milkweed. So you can tell there's ways you can identify them in the field, but you can see the yarrow and more purple coneflower in the back. And here I'm showing off the butterfly milkweed. And some more of the purple coneflower. I have another peach that I found in the compost, some mint and oregano. Here's my rosemary, more peppers, some more tobacco. Pawpaws about to start putting out leaves. Look a lot better than the ones I planted in the ground, so I might have to replace them with these come fall when they're dormant. Here are my all-star strawberries. You can see they're putting out runners, trying to evade the parsley that's trying to flower. I let that go and go to seed so I can save the seed, and also for the butterflies or the caterpillars who like to eat it. I believe they're swallowtails. I have some cherry tomato plants over here, and that is my garden.